Looking for a new career? Welcome to Do HVAC Training Service Center in North Charleston. Enroll today in our comprehensive HVAC training hands-on field experience-based program, covering troubleshooting, maintenance, installation, and more on various HVAC systems and ductwork. We offer EPA and NAEP preparation and testing, along with various certifications. Enjoy payment options. Achieve certification in under 5 months. Enroll now for your new journey of skill development and career advancement. Log on to dewhvactrainingsc.com to inquire.
So, Michelle.
So, David.
Well,
hi.
I'm a little breathless.
Why?
Everything's happening at the moment.
So much is happening.
I've got no idea what to talk about half the time.
Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of it.
But every time I think we've covered it, some idiot goes and does something else. I mean, you've got Iran that's up in flames. You've got China, and
You've got Ukraine. You've got Russia. You've got
the UK.
The UK.
How much fun is that? It's like, wow, how many train wrecks can you have in one afternoon? And they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
The great thing about this was I sort of sat down and a little thing popped up, and it was all about what's going on in Ukraine.
Yes.
In that we've had the Nord Stream sabotage.
Yep.
Then we had the bridge sabotage.
Yep.
Now, and I love this, I spotted it just the other day on a Russian chat show. They're basically saying that the Ukrainians are going to nuke themselves and blame Russia. Right.
Because that's something that, a normal society would do.
Well, hang on. Here's the really interesting thing. There's a little operation out there called false flag.
Okay.
And I thought, considering what's going on in Russia, and pretty much the worst thing was on Reddit last night. I'm sitting there going through Reddit, doing my Reddit troll, and then someone went, this is what will happen to the Earth if Russia launches a nuclear missile. And it's basically like, we're dead meat. So I thought, let's have a look at false flags and see exactly what these people are playing with.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
You're listening to I Spied, the false flag of Australian intelligence.
If you're battling the bulge and you really want to lose weight, listen to I Spied, because we've got great dietary ideas. First, just strap this bomb vest on yourself and guarantee you are going to lose so much weight in a minute.
Oh my God. Ready? Hello and welcome to I Spied. My name's Michelle Stevenson. I'm here with David Callan in what feels like an eternity together.
Yes.
I just realised, I reflected on this the other day.
Uh-huh.
It's been like almost 3 years.
Marriages don't last this long.
I mean, I think it's because we're not having sex.
Look, trust me, that's the thing that keeps us together is, the absolute disappointment.
The fact that you keep your clothes on keeps us 100% present.
I don't even go swimming around you, right?
Thank God.
Now, look, today I want to talk about false flags.
Yes.
Now, the interesting thing is what's going on with false flags. The way we look at false flags now and the way false flags originated is quite different, right? Now, a false flag is a maritime term, as you would probably no doubt realise, in that it is to fly false colours, to put a false flag on your ship and then
pretend to be someone else.
Pretend to be someone else. But
like if you're a pirate.
Well, they're the guys who started it back in the 16th century.
Sounds like something pirates would do.
They would stick a flag on and go, hey,
we're friendly.
We're English. And then as soon as they got up close, up we go the...
Stab.
Yeah, skull and crossbones and we're not. Arr. Now, the thing is, with a false flag, once combat begins, you must remove the false flag and put up the real one.
Really?
Yeah, there are rules.
There are rules of engagement.
There are rules, right?
Okay.
There are rules under the Geneva Convention and also the Hague Protocols, and there's quite a few rules, though the word war is never mentioned.
Okay.
But these are rules of war. Now, the whole thing is, a great example of it was Germany used a huge false flag operation. Well, actually, it's not a false flag operation. That's incorrect. I won't talk about that one first. I'll talk about the one Germany did use during the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh, yes,
during the Battle of the Bulge, where, of course, the American line was stretched. The Germans went, hang on, we can press you back. So they attacked. But what they did is they sent Waffen-SS soldiers behind the American lines in American uniforms.
Right.
Now, this was brought up at the Nuremberg trials, and the leader, I think his name was Skorsky or something, the commander of the operation, was put on trial for war crimes. And even the Americans turned around and went, no war crimes here. Because despite the fact that they were wearing American uniforms behind enemy lines, as soon as they found themselves in combat, they dropped the uniforms and fought in their own. Again, that by the rules... Coolio. We don't mind if you pretend to be us.
I love how there's rules for this stuff.
Well, yeah. there were. These rules are beginning to break
I was going to say,
down.
I can't imagine these rules still going.
Well, funnily enough, they kind of are, but another example of a false flag, and it's a very important one for Australia, was on the 19th of November 1941 when the HMAS Sydney was sunk off the coast of Western Australia by a German ship, the Cormoran. Now, the Cormoran was originally a freighter. It was a freight ship. There we go. It was a freighter. There we go. Let's just call it that. But it had been decked out as a raider.
Okay.
The Germans did that a lot. And this thing had a really high success rate. It sunk something like 11 ships.
Yep.
Until it met up with the Sydney, flying false colours, got close to the Sydney and opened fire. Now, the thing is, it also had a much higher fire rate than the Sydney. And also the Sydney would have been caught on the hop there trying to get their guys onto the guns.
Yep.
The Sydney was sunk, loss of all hands, which was 645 men. It's the worst maritime disaster in Australian history.
Wow.
Or military moment. Now, the Cormoran had to be scuttled because it was damaged, and there were 318 of the 399 complement of men on that ship survived. They were then placed in prison camps in Australia and spent their war eating lamb. I don't know. Right, whatever we did with them. But that was a case of, boom, that is a false flag op where you go, we're going to wave a flag, we're pretending to be someone else, and as soon as the fighting starts, our real flag goes up.
So riddle me this.
Yep.
If you, under a false flag operation, you kill all these people, then you're captured and you become a prisoner of war. When the war ends, are you released?
That's what happens with prisoners of war.
No, I know, but if you've done this under a false flag.
Well, here's the thing about false flag.
Right.
If you continue to fight in the uniform of the enemy or continue to fight under the flag of your opposition, so you continue to, if you remain under the false flag, you can be shot as a spy.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
There was a very famous case. I mean, they based the movie The Great Escape on it, where a whole bunch of prisoners escaped a prison camp.
Yep.
They were disguised they changed their uniforms to look like civilian clothing, and something like 50 of them were shot because they went, you're spies. You're not in uniform. You're operating behind enemy lines. There is no indication that you are wearing your military uniform. One guy got away with it. I mean, the Steve McQueen character who got away by just showing his American captain's bars. But the whole thing was, if you're caught in somebody else's uniform, you can be shot as a spy. So it behooves you to then go, run up our real flag, here we go. Now, there were a lot of conspiracy theories around the Sydney sinking, and it wasn't until 2008 they found the Cormoran, the German ship, they found the wreck, and then they found the Sydney, I think, a couple of months later. And where they were located and the damage that was done to the ships, they realised, no, this is how this battle would have stretched out. Now, admittedly, the only witnesses to it were German sailors.
Right.
There were no Australians left. They were all killed. So it's a really important thing to remember that even though false flags seem really, really unfair, they are regarded as genuine acts of war. Now, here's an interesting point that nobody really talks about at the moment is, when was the last time the United States declared war? Yeah, good question.
I don't think they actually do.
They haven't since 1941.
Yeah.
And the last time Russia declared war?
I don't think these countries
1941.
I don't think these countries actually declare war.
They don't. Now, this is the interesting thing. Now, the way you can get a false flag to start morphing, and there's quite a few examples of it. One was the start of the Second World War, when Germany put some of their soldiers in Polish uniforms and then attacked a radio tower on the Polish-German border, a German tower, and then went, oh my God, how terrible, you couldn't do that. Oh, we must invade Poland, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, false flags are used as instances as preparation for war, but they're not truly false flags. I mean, they actually left a German soldier a dead German soldier in a Polish uniform at the tower. So when people went in and went, what happened to the tower? They found the dead Polish, and I'm doing air quotes for no reason, at the tower, so they could go, look, it was the Polish.
So would it be a false flag if, you know how Putin destroyed his own civilians so he could basically say, I'm going to go to war with
This is the really
Crimea.
good, here's the really good point. Yeah, now we're getting into the dark side of what we call false flag, or what everyone now calls it, the grey zone.
The grey zone. Because it's like commercial that, well, not commercial, but like that bit of footage that I shared with you about the man waiting at the bus stop.
Yeah.
And they said he was there and he had bombs on him, and the Russians came and stopped him. They said he was Ukrainian and he was going to blow shit up.
Yep.
But everyone was like, well, there's a lot of things that are really wrong with that. And that wouldn't have happened.
There's quite a few things going on at the moment. There's a lot of balls in the air when it comes to the Ukraine, and a lot of stuff that's grey zone, false flag. We don't call it grey zone anymore, by the way.
But I like that.
People are not calling it grey zone because they think it's actually unfair. It should be regarded as hybrid warfare.
Hybrid warfare.
It's like my Lexus. It runs on electricity and on gas.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, right. And here's the thing. The interesting thing is like Nord Stream. So they blew up those two pipelines. They've now got footage of the pipelines and something like 50 metres of these pipes have just gone.
Right.
Right. They destroyed them. Now, the thing was neither of those pipes were being used. One wasn't being, the Germans said, we're not going to use Nord Stream 2. That had been shut down. Nord Stream 1 was there. And the thing is, there's all of this evidence coming out left, right and centre. Like the Russians are saying, we wouldn't do it. Why would we do that? Why would we destroy our own pipeline when we're trying to sell this stuff, despite the fact that it's been sanctioned and the Germans don't want to buy it?
Yeah.
Then they say it must have been the Americans because Joe Biden said Nord Stream will not work. We will shut it down no matter what we need to do. So there is that supposed confession from him. But who really benefits from Nord Stream going down offline? This is a really good question. The Ukraine. Because to get gas to Germany, they have to send it through the pipes in the Ukraine. Now, the Ukraine, for years, have siphoned gas off. They've gone, if you send stuff through those pipelines across our territory, we're taking gas out.
Well, that's like a tax.
So, yeah. Now, the whole thing is, if they're at war with Russia and Russia go, well, let's shut down those pipes, they lose their gas.
Yeah.
And if the Russians can get it through the Baltic Sea, they still lose the gas. But if they in some way force the Russians to use the pipes going through their territory, they get their gas back.
Yeah.
So the other one is a lot of people are saying it was Poland.
Why Poland?
Because Poland hate Russia. Sorry, before we go any further, Poland hates Russia, all right?
Because they're looking for any excuse.
Yeah, no KISS sitting in a tree. They do not like each other. And the other thing is the day that the pipeline went down, Poland opened a new pipeline.
Oh.
Yeah.
Real quick.
So this is the thing that's really fun. It's like, and this is why people don't like using grey zone anymore, is because it becomes conspiracy theory based.
Right.
Because a lot of this, I mean, I have on behalf of you all taken a lot of conspiracy stuff on board, and it has done my head in.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
Once you start going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, and look, it's a very deep rabbit hole, and at the bottom there is a Mad Hatter having a tea party, and he doesn't make a good Earl Grey.
My favourite one at the moment, which we were just recently talking about, is the fact that birds are fake.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
I know. It's so crazy.
Why would nature create a fraud quite like it? But anyway, here's the one. The one that's really interesting and really gives you a good idea of what's going on is the bridge.
Right.
The Kerch Bridge.
The Kerch Bridge.
The bridge between Russia and Crimea.
Yep.
Now, they built that thing very quickly. It was about $3.8 billion worth to throw together, and then somebody blew it up.
Yes.
And it's not completely blown up.
No.
The towards Russia side of the road is still open. It's a little damaged, but it's still open. The train line is gone and, well, not gone, but it's certainly damaged. And, of course, one side of the road is in the water. Now, the interesting thing about that was their greyzone.com or Grey Zone magazine. Grey Zone. I just like saying that word. Anyway, this magazine came up with a theory. They got a document from MI6 that MI6 planned the attack.
Oh.
Now, the interesting thing about that was why? Well, you know what? When you're working for when you're allied with another country, guys, have you thought about blowing up this bridge? Right, Ukraine, we go, we thought about it, but we don't know how to do it. And, well, how about this? We're going to get one of our guys to sit down with a couple of his mates and they're going to draw up a plan, which they did. And they wound up with a 6-page PDF. That immediately made me go, hang on a minute. Why would it be a PDF?
Yes.
Generally, you put this thing on paper. There was supposedly a big presentation in MI6 with Ukrainians at the meeting, and they went, here's how you do it, right? Now, it involved maritime, like ships, missiles, mines, SAS guys. It was a hugely complicated affair. That is not what happened. Right. Basically, what they were going to do is they're going to blow up the two pylons holding the highest span. The ships can go under because their whole idea was, let's not just cut off the road, let's cut off the Azov Sea to Russia.
Sense.
So they're stuck. They can't resupply the Donbass in that area. What actually happened was somebody drove a truck up onto the bridge and blew it up.
Okay.
Right. Now, here's the really interesting thing about that is, and this is what I love. I remember I told you about how I was very lucky to read the Pan Am flight disaster over, was it Dunblane in
lucky to read that.
Oh, no, seriously, because you read it and you suddenly go, oh, my God, this is how they do it. That was months before anyone could get their hands on it. They had an explosive expert, a US explosive expert, who just took one look at the footage and went, that's thermite. Yeah, this is a military operation.
Yeah.
He just turned around and went, military operation, definitely it has to be a military operation because the way it was timed and the way it was done, the train that was on fire,
Yep.
That was full of fuel.
Oh.
Right. Now, they had the wherewithal to, I know there was going to be a fuel train on that bridge, and to be in the right spot to blow their truck up to set fire to the train at the same time. And also where they blew it up, they knew that it would, if one piece of the bridge fell down, it would pull other pieces of the bridge down, and away we went. So there was this incredible plan that had absolutely nothing to do with MI5. But the thing is, who done it?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Right. Well, that's the big thing, because the Ukrainians have blamed Russians. The Russians have blamed the Ukrainians. The FSB actually sent out a photo of a truck that they went, this is the truck that did it.
Anytime the FSB is super fast, then I think it's Russia.
Wait for it. Then they sent out an X-ray of that truck saying we spotted it going on the bridge, but we couldn't stop it. But the thing is, the photo of the truck has 3 wheels at the back of the container and 2 wheels at the front, but the X-ray have 3 wheels at the back and 1 wheel at the front. So it's like, what happened to that axle, right? To which the FSB went, shut up, sit down. Right. This has nothing to do with truck, right? So the whole thing is, this is another one of these things about the grey zone, about hybrid, about false flag, where we don't know what's going on.
Also, I didn't understand why they blew up. I mean, I get why they blew up the bridge, but there was no real casualties. It was just kind of out of left field.
Right. So there's 2 ways of thinking about it.
And then what happened afterwards, Russia just, bombed Kiev.
Again, it comes down to one of those false flag operations like the start of World War II. And through history, there's hundreds of these ones where people dress up in somebody else's uniform, attack their own village, and then run away.
It's like September 11 was an inside job.
Yeah, I was actually flying the plane. Right. So the whole thing is, and with the Ukraine attacking it makes a lot of sense. We're going to, A, cut off your big bridge that gets you to the Crimea, and 2, you've just turned around and said if you attack anything that the Russians own, we'd regard that as an act of war. Well, it's an act of war. Screw you. Which makes a lot of sense. The other thing for the Ukrainians is we can blow up the Kerch Bridge because we've got a land bridge. We've got the Donbass now, so we can literally get our troops supplied. So let's blow up that bridge and use that as a precursor to then, because literally within hours after the bridge was gone, there were airstrikes on critical infrastructure in the Ukraine. And as someone said, you don't throw that together in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You have that set ready to go. Now, they're in a war. They are going to have that kind of operation set ready to go. They just need a precursor for it. Well, actually, do they really need a reason?
Well, I think Russia is losing favour, particularly with the West. Not that they care so much about that, but also I think China is a little bit like, what's going on here? So I think in some regards, they need to have a little bit of cause and effect.
Yeah. Now, here's the interesting thing about that is a lot of people are sort of like saying these are not false flag operations. If it is Russia behind, and even the little green men who they
Russia has form here, though. Russia likes to blow themselves up to create drama.
Yeah, but here's the really interesting thing about this. When they went into Crimea, they annexed another country's territory.
Yes.
No one did anything.
No.
Right. When they started interfering in the US election, right, Obama turned around to Putin at a meeting in Europe and went, you can stop that right now. But there was no or else.
No.
Right. Now, if he'd said or else, Russia was then going to go, okay, we've got to think about this because they might actually do something. The thing is, no one is acting on their threats. They're saying to the Russians, hey, come on, guys, Crimea, really? And they just went, what are you going to do?
Well, now it's all turning around. The Ukrainians are taking back a lot of that annexed land.
Oh, certainly. And they're doing that because the Americans,
everyone's
Brits,
supporting them.
Everyone's throwing weaponry at them.
So I think now Russia's getting the what else?
Well, yeah, they're now getting the or else. But
or else.
Still, the classic is the nuclear threat when they turn around and the nuclear.
But they're not gonna do anything.
Well, we said that they were when the Americans turned around to the world and went, they've just dumped 175,000 troops on the Ukrainian border. They're going to invade, and the rest of the world went no. I mean, I even remember going, this is just saber rattling.
Yeah.
No, it's not saber rattling. The thing is, with the Russians, they do it. Now, they could set off a nuke just as a demonstration. We are willing to do this.
I don't think he's going to do it. And I've listened to a lot of people who their specialty is Russia.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are saying, look, he's not. He's smarter than that. There is no real reason for him to want to do this. He's not going to do it.
Yeah. The only problem with that is if he feels that cornered, If he gets to the point where it's like,
But-
I have no other option here to survive.
But the West hasn't been paying attention to all of Russia's threats to the rest of the world. And apparently Putin does this all the time. He threatens nuclear all the time.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree that
But like the West, hearing it go, hang on, but this is the first time we've been involved or so intricately involved in what's going on in Europe.
Right. So, well, that's the interesting thing for us. We're selling Bushmasters. right?
Yeah.
And coal. I don't know if it's arrived yet. But anyway, we are selling things to them. Not a lot. Mainly because, it's a long way to ship stuff. And they can get stuff a lot faster and a lot easier out of Europe and the US than they can from us. But we want to be part of the scene.
Yep.
We want everyone to go, yeah, Australia, good on you. But with the nukes, right, the whole thing with the nukes, there are options. And as I said, on a Russian chat show, I'll post the link because there is one guy that just sits there with a pair of sunglasses on and you just think, who the hell are you and what do you do for a living? Because you just look as creepy as hell. But essentially, one of the experts on this Russian panel has said, the Ukrainians have a nuke. It's sitting in Mykolaiv, which is a city in one of the occupied regions. They're going to go on this counteroffensive. They're going to detonate that nuke. They're going to blame Russia, and that will drag the Americans into the war. Now, a couple of things about that. One, the Ukraine don't have nukes, right? They used to.
No, they don't.
But they handed them back to the owners, Russia, when they got their independence. And for anyone who thinks, yeah, but maybe they just kept one on the sly, you can't do that with nukes. They're incredibly, of all the things on the planet, they're regulated.
Also, it's very Russian to assume what Russia would do, everyone else would do.
Yeah, that's another interesting point.
You know what? That's something you guys might do. No one else thinks like that.
Yeah, you might want to blow up Stalingrad, but we don't.
Yeah.
Right? And now the interesting thing about that as well is, of course, and this comes down to the whole conspiracy theory idea. As soon as someone turned around and said, well, they don't have any nukes, it was like, well, the Americans can give them one. Well, no, the Americans won't even give them long-range missiles. So there's no way they're going to give them a nuke because the Americans do not want a ground war.
As if any other country would give Ukraine a nuke just on the off chance they might want to use it.
Yeah, guys, you want a nuke? Yeah, I can give you a couple of Bushmasters. I can give you some coal, and we've got a nuke liner here.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Right, but the whole thing is when this guy was confronted and someone said, well, how would they get a nuke?
Yeah.
When it was finally like the Americans wouldn't give them one, no one's going to give them one, and you got all of yours back. Oh, well, they take nuclear waste from one of their reactors and blow up dirty bomb. And it's like, my God, Father, you're desperate for this to escalate.
Yes.
And this is the thing. What's going on now is we're not getting a lot of information out of Russia. Right? Russia is being very, very cagey with the amount of information they got. God knows what's going on with the protests in there. God knows what. Like recently, it's just come out that they're shutting down the recruiting drive, the recruiting drive with koshers and black hoods and being thrown in the back of a van. They're shutting that down simply because they're losing control of it.
Yeah,
and they're also losing control of the fact that troops. There is now a website. If you're a Russian soldier, you can go on and go, "I'd like to surrender, please. Where can I meet you?" It's like a Tinder date for deserters. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And, Ukraine sits there and goes, ooh, swipe left, swipe left. Ooh, swipe right. We'll keep him. We like him. He's a colonel, right? So the whole thing is what's going on in Russia, what's the scuttlebutt coming out of Russia at the moment is Putin is caged, right? He's so paranoid and he's only getting fed what he wants to hear.
Yeah.
So the reason they've lost control of this was they thought it was going to be quick, in, out.
Yep.
Go down to the shops, buy some milk, take over Kiev, go home.
But even the annexed states.
Oh, no, not annexed anymore. They now belong to Russia.
No. But even those ones, like Ukraine's clawing back.
Oh, yeah. Look, that's the thing. They're now saying we had an election, we've annexed areas that they've lost pretty much all control
And
of.
what we're seeing is, so the Ukrainians are going in there and they're seeing high instances of torture, which are now being logged.
Look, there are going to be a lot of war crimes uncovered in this one.
100%.
There are and the guy who's currently leading the invasion, and we're going to, special military operation.
Oh, yeah. It's not an invasion.
The guy that's been given control of it, the command of it, he's regarded as just utterly ruthless. He's basically telling his troops, don't care what you do, just get it done. Right? So when you've got that level of absolute disregard for, and I always find it funny, the rules of war. or the laws of war, right? It's a war, it's chaos. But as you know, with false flags, as we've discovered with false flags, there are rules that you can follow. You should follow,
and you should follow.
And if you break those rules, right? So the guys during the Battle of the Bulge, Operation Grief, it was called, which I think is great.
Yeah,
Operation Grief. Yeah, it was completely immoral. But it wasn't against the rules. Particularly once the bullets started flying, they put their own uniforms back on.
I also like how the Americans now use the Battle of the Bulge for something completely different.
Yeah. It's really one of the great moments of American, just absolute stalwart commitment is now just, you want to lose some weight.
Yeah, basically. Now we're all really fat, so now we're battling a different bulge.
We're battling a different bulge. But ladies and gentlemen, bottom line is this. There is a lot of stuff coming out of Russia and the Ukraine at the moment where everyone's blaming everyone else and people are calling them false flags. They're not false flags.
Yeah.
Right?
We've cleared it up.
They're not grey zone. This is hybrid warfare at its really at its zenith at the moment. This whole idea of the bridge, the pipeline, all of these things are unaccountable. They don't know who did it. We can surmise it, we can estimate it, but we cannot comprehensively say that was the Russians.
There's a lot of confusion, and what comes out of confusion is exactly what the perpetrator wants.
And that's exactly right. As Robert McNamara said in his book, It's the Fog of War. Once you're in war, the truth is the first victim.
Although it's not technically called war.
No. The fog of special military operations.
Yeah, the fog of a slight disagreement over who owns what.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what we're going to have to do if we ever separate.
Which is why I liked, the Russians invade and they mutilate people and kill them, and Ukraine captures Russia and just offers them a cup of tea and says, do you want to call your parents?
Yeah, you want to call your mum? Yeah. We're going to cut your nose off and we're going to give you coffee or tea. Tea.
Yeah, nice.
Cool.
Looking for a new career? Welcome to Do HVAC Training Service Center in North Charleston. Enroll today in our comprehensive HVAC training hands-on field experience-based program, covering troubleshooting, maintenance, installation, and more on various HVAC systems and ductwork. We offer EPA and NAEP preparation and testing, along with various certifications. Enjoy payment options. Achieve certification in under 5 months. Enroll now for your new journey of skill development and career advancement. Log on to dewhvactrainingsc.com to inquire.